Good afternoon. Make sure this is working. I am Kyle Dean. I'm the principal at Michigan City High School. That'll work. And we, thank you. There you go. Perfect. Thank you. All right. Everyone hear me now? Yeah. I am Kyle Dean, principal of Michigan City High School, and I'd like to introduce Christy Davis, K-12 coordinator for counseling and student supports. I'd like to first say thank you to the Chamber for inviting us here. Thank you to the sponsors, Blue Chip, everyone making today possible. And so want to give a preface here as we get started. These are changes that just came out a week ago today, and there may be some further changes for the upcoming diploma here by the end of the year. So we'll get into all that, but just where the current state views diploma changes. So before we get started here, kind of a quick overview here. So rethinking high school. So why a diploma change, right? What's wrong with our current diploma system? So we'll go into some proposed changes with that. Again, the state is in, it was the second draft, and so they've got another public comments period, and so we anticipate some additional changes, but we're definitely seeing where the state is wanting to go. And then we'll go into how this impacts you, your business community, and then from there we'll take questions and we'll give the best answer we can given the current flux with changes that have already happened, and then kind of we're anticipating some other changes. So before we go into the why, wanted to let you hear directly from Katie Jenner, who is the Secretary of Education for the state, and you can kind of see she does a really good job of sharing where the state is coming, where they're viewing these changes and why.
Traveling around the state of Indiana, it is clear we have a lot to be proud of and a lot to celebrate. From high school students who are young entrepreneurs and are running their own businesses like a coffee shop, a construction trades business, or even a student-led manufacturing business right in the school, to students who are earning college credit, often many college credits, and setting themselves up to save time and money when they head to college. And by the way, a fun fact, Indiana is #1 in the nation for students who earn college credit while in high school. And an increasing number of high schools are taking this a step further, helping students graduate with not only their high school diploma, but a tangible credential of value, like the Indiana College Core, a technical certificate, or an advanced industry certificate. All of these credentials are something that students will always have, whether they immediately apply towards college or career, or use it years down the road. These are just a few of the many examples from around Indiana. And as we consider how might we make the 4 years of high school as valuable as possible for all of our Indiana students, increase access to quality student experiences like these is paramount to our shared work. We know that every student has unique goals and dreams. Some want to go to college, some want to kickstart their career right after high school, and some want to serve our country by enlisting in one of our nation's military branches. So what can we do in high school to more seamlessly connect our students to their future goals, whether that includes enrollment, employment, or enlistment leading to service? To help us answer this question, we have listened to thousands of Hoosiers from across the state to help inform our shared work ahead. And in doing so, a few key themes have emerged. This includes, number one, providing more flexibility in student schedules, putting students in the driver's seat and allowing them to personalize their learning based on their unique goals and dreams. Number 2, increasing opportunities for college and career experiences, like the ability to earn more college credit, leading to a credential of value, and the ability to explore careers and experience work-based learning. And number 3, keeping the structure simple by considering one diploma with a variety of student path opportunities. This is our opportunity to provide a brighter future for the state of Indiana and most importantly, for our students. So thank you to the many Hoosiers who have been working with us to get this right for Indiana students. Let's continue to listen and learn from one another and seize this opportunity together.
Who values an Ivy Tech community?
Okay, so why do we need to rethink high school? The first statement there that Katie Jenner made, which is, Indiana's leading the charge in students earning college credit. Even though that we're number 1 in the nation, for that, we're seeing fewer students enrolling in post-secondary institutions, which I think is interesting, and considering the fact 64% of Indiana students are graduating high school with, on average, 13 and a half college credits. There's a little bit of a disconnect there. They're earning the credits, but then they're not doing something with them. And so we're also seeing students are graduating without the skills needed. As business owners or part of the business community, you may be seeing students that are taking that, when they graduate and then that Monday arrives, where they're going. There's a little bit of a disconnect in the skills that they need, that they're getting in high school, and that our business partners are coming back and saying, but they're still needing this. And so students who also are dreaming of enlisting are finding out a little bit too late on if they're not able to go through the enlistment. And so 77% of students that do not meet that aptitude, character, medical, or fitness standard necessary to serve, they're finding out after the fact that they just graduated. And so what I think from the state, what I'm really excited about is that flexibility, that mobility piece that they're putting into that. And so you might have seen that first iteration, that first draft proposal back in March, especially our post-secondary institutions were very, very loud in saying this isn't going to work. And so I'm pleased to kind of go into some of the changes that just rolled out a week ago. So currently, there are 4 different diplomas, and the state is wanting to make it a little bit more simplified. So up on the screen on the left-hand side there is our current Core 40. Majority of students end up with the Core 40. There's the technical honors, the academic honors, and the general diploma. And what the state is wanting to do is based on feedback that they're getting from all stakeholders, is to simplify that. So they're currently looking at 1 diploma. The Core 40, the 40 represents the 40 credits that they're needed, that a student would need in order to graduate. You might be able to see it. If not, I'll go over the highlights here. So from the current Core 40 to the future, the state came out and said they called it the GPS, Graduates Prepared to Succeed Diploma. Some people pushed back on that, so the name change might change with the next draft coming out, but basically there's 1 diploma, 42 credits. So the current diploma is 40 credits, the new one is 42. So there's some changes within there that are highlighted up on the screen. So an additional math, science, getting information back from post-secondary institutions, making sure that their math and science meets the high bar for them. You can kind of see there they've reduced the number of social studies credits by 1, health and PE by 1. But overall, they've increased the total number, so that personalized electives that students would need, they've increased that, which is important for students that are going to graduate through a pathway. And so if a student gets partly through a pathway, realizes this may not be what I want, they do have that flexibility that the state is building in, and that mobility for students to get all of the credits, but then also get the right credits that work for them when they graduate. One of the things that we definitely reiterate to our seniors is Monday following graduation, what are you doing? And that looks different for a handful of students. And so currently, right now, like I said, we've got, the core 40, they're going to go to 1 diploma. State law, this new diploma has to be voted and agreed upon by December 31st. So we anticipate additional information soon. And so hopefully there's anyone from the state here. We definitely need this information as quickly as possible, but wanted to give you the most up-to-date. And so greater flexibility with the electives. Currently, right now, our schedule allows students, you might be thinking, how many credits can a student earn per year? And so they can earn 16 credits per year. So over the course of 4 years, that gives them a total of 64 credits. So there's, in addition to the minimum 42, a lot more credits that students can earn. And so another focus that we're seeing from the state is this stackable credentials. And we're going to get to that here in just a few minutes about how this relates to the business community. And then the other big thing that we're seeing from the state is that now that they've condensed these diplomas to 1, feedback was, well, where's the incentive for students to earn the current technical academic honors? And so the state has come out with these readiness seals. They're optional, but there's a total of 6. And so this readiness seal is really going to kind of, even though there's 1 diploma, it's really going to incentivize and allow students to level up and achieve, what we're currently seeing and bridging that gap. And so there are a total of 6 seals. There's 2 main seals. There's an honor seal, and then underneath the honor seal, you've got the enrollment, the employment, and the enlistment and service. And so the enrollment is typically, this honor seal is what we would see similar to our academic honors diploma currently. And so with the slight changes in amount of credits for math, science, one of the big changes that I wanted to highlight for this new updated diploma is that this component here, so they have their required courses plus their electives. Underneath that, though, there's a component in order to earn the enrollment seal where students have to complete one of the following. So 4 credits in AP or 6 college credits. So that's where our dual credits come into play. But the big change with just taking AP courses is making sure that students are passing the AP exam. So that's one thing that has come out in the recent change and update. Students can also, in addition to earning that enrollment seal for the honors, can earn an employment seal. And so there's an attendance goal. There's 100 hours of work-based learning. So you can kind of see where this call to action with our business community is going to come into play. And then students that are looking to enlist and serve have to complete one of the following. And so there's, with our ASVAB, they have to achieve a minimum score. There is still an attendance goal. And so they can earn any one of these 6. They can earn 1 or 2. There's a lot of flexibility in terms of what that student is trying to achieve once they graduate. So there's the Honors Plus seal. So in addition to the Honors seal, again with the enrollments, they still have 100 hours of work-based learning. Students that are going on, and that's if these changes remain intact, students that are also looking to earn that employment seal carry an additional 550 hours of work-based learning. And so the Honors Plus Seal, the Honors Seal are really, it's our current academic honors diploma and technical honors diploma that, you know, which students are going to go after these seals are those students. And so kind of projection wise, at least at Michigan City High School, we anticipate 200 to 300 students every cohort that are going to be attaining either an enrollment or employment seal. And so quick numbers of math, 300 students, each student needs at minimum 100 hours of work-based learning. We're looking at 20,000 to 30,000 hours of work-based learning, which is a great way for us to get partnership with all of you to get these students those hours and to then get them into, you know, what are they doing that Monday following graduation? And so that is really, that's where this beautiful partnership, you know, we're really wanting to establish that. So with our honors enrollment seal, again, that one of the prerequisites for that in its current form is that we need, you know, students need these work-based learning experiences, these hours that they need, which is great to get them into the field, get them the exposure that they need, that I think students are currently lacking right now. And so there is a big push. Whatever the state may change, I don't anticipate anything changing with this push for work-based learning, mobility, flexibility. Whether the amount of hours change, I do believe that there's going to be that component in there. And so really excited to see this flexibility option, and that it's not just, I earned my diploma, now what? Like, as they're earning their diploma, they're going to be getting those experiences that when that Monday arrives, what are you going to do following graduation? And so it's going to set the way for to prepare our students to succeed, which is where that GPS diploma name, I think, was really why the state was pushing that the name of the new diploma. So
all right, now to the work-based learning, how Kyle kind of laid out the importance of our continued collaboration with our businesses. I'm going to read, there have been several different definitions of work-based learning, some even provided by kind of our CTE, so our career technical education, as well as from our Department of Education. So the CTE definition of work-based learning is an experience which includes sustained interactions between participants and professionals in real or simulated workplace settings that foster in-depth, firsthand experiences with the tasks required in a given career field, that are aligned and evaluated with course training competencies, and that offer the participants the opportunity to earn intentional career outcomes. So up there just have some of the benefits of our work-based learning and the importance of that collaboration and working with all of you to provide this for our students. I think the biggest thing is exposes students to different career opportunities. And I think too many times when we look at our younger students, what they are familiar with or what they know is maybe what their parent does or their grandparent does or their guardian does. So letting them know all the different opportunities that exist out there is going to be huge as far as a lot of the work that we're going to continue to do. Also beneficial for them to observe professionals in action, helps them network, helps us build that pipeline of future employers, and just connecting that classroom learning to real world experience. We know school is not every kid's favorite thing, but if we can make those connections with what they're learning in the classroom and how that will carry over, then that's where we're going to get the most impact. So this is kind of the continuum, the work-based learning continuum. So we really want to start at career awareness. And I know last year as a district we held our first 6th grade career expo. Got a lot of positive feedback from the businesses that participated. Did hear from one that thought it was a little too young. Are we doing this too young? It is never too early to start. So a big push will be that career awareness. Huge focus in our elementary schools. You can see some of the different events or things that we plan to continue to do and to expose our students. Obviously the huge push as well is, our ELA, our reading and literacy and our math. So a huge focus in the day with our teachers is focusing on those core academics. So we have to supplement and expose our students through other ways throughout the year for that career awareness component. The next level is kind of that career exploration, and that's learning about work. So that career exploration is going to be a huge focus more for our middle school and our early high school, with exploring career options and post-secondary for the purpose of motivating students to inform their decision making in high school. Based on what Kyle just shared, as well as what we currently have in place with our next level programs of study, our students have to identify a pathway, ideally by freshman year, but to finish the credits and the classes that are needed, they have to have a pathway identified by their sophomore year. So if we are not doing any of this intentional work earlier, then our kids are set up for failure with not identifying that pathway that they want to be successful while in high school. Career preparation, and then the career training, that's learning through work and learning for work. So that's definitely going to be more of our later in high school, junior, senior year, where we're building out those work-based learning opportunities where students can apply learning through practical experience and develop the knowledge and skills necessary for success. So it'll be more of our junior, senior year initiatives to support our students. So with this state, there are 4 levels of work-based learning. Level 1 is the employability skills development. So this is activities that occur in workplaces or school-based enterprises involving an employer assigning a student meaningful job tasks to develop her skills, knowledge, or readiness for work. So that's kind of the entry level, which the next slide I'll kind of talk about how we're starting that here this fall. Level 2 is the internship. So that's internships and workplace simulations provide access or advancement in a career field that can serve as the culminating course or event in a student's chosen career pathway. So more intentional placement, maybe the student has taken some classes in high school, lines with their post-secondary plan, or seeking employment, and we're making that direct connection to their interest with a work-based learning placement as an internship. Level 3 and 4 are fairly newer here in the state, and they're continuing to build those out with the modern youth apprenticeship or pre-apprenticeship, and then the federal registered apprenticeship. We will see for that level 3, that is designed for high school students, and that's going to incorporate the key elements of the standard apprenticeship model, so including paid workplace experience and related technical instruction. So usually within those pre-apprenticeship programs, they want that to tie back to a post-secondary credit or an industry-recognized credential. So we'll see that more in potentially some of the manufacturing areas with building out those pre-apprenticeship models. Here are currently some of the models that we're seeing across the state and even some of our neighboring school districts. So the first one we're trying to start with is the cooperative education, which is similar to a work study. So with this goal, it's to help students develop employability skills and does not have to tie to their program of study. So most commonly, this would be a student who has a part-time job. With that part-time job, depending on hours worked, we can award high school credit for that. With this that we are piloting and starting here this fall with our Pathways students would be they are also going to take a dual credit course through Ivy Tech with career readiness, which is going to help with resume writing, soft skills, interview skills, and career research. So we'll continue to support the students on the school side, as well as if they are out and working a part-time job at one of your places of business. The next level we hope that we're going to continue to build out is more of that level 2, which is that internship, or that career exploration internship is the formal name through the state. This is where students have not necessarily taken advanced coursework, but allows them the opportunity to gain hands-on experience with career skills that are related to their graduation plan. Within this week and next week, we are surveying all of our sophomores and juniors at the high school to see if they have any interest in work-based learning or work study. Do they have any career field or career cluster, or even we put it on there if they have any business, in particular in Michigan City, that they are interested in. So once we get those results back, then we'll be doing intentional outreach with any of you here and any of our businesses in Michigan City to work to build those partnerships to look at placements eventually for our students. And the last one that we're seeing as far as that's happening within the state is that work-based learning capstone, or that pre-apprenticeship. That's level 3. So Within this area, students have completed at least one advanced CTE course and the experiences related to their CTE program. So we're giving them the opportunity to apply what they have learned within the classroom at the on-the-job setting. So this would be a lot of our AK Smith programs where they're doing the work-based learning capstone. They have taken all the classes that we offer and want to get them out to a site where they can apply themselves. Other things that then may come from this, like I had mentioned earlier, students can earn high school credit based on hours worked. Once we develop getting into more of that level 2 with those internships, we would create work-based learning training plans to partner with you guys and keep that open line of communication. And then there would be site agreements. This is something that we created. There's an education committee that works through the chamber. And this is a form that we created last year, and I know Danny's put out on a lot of the materials as far as to kind of get involved. So this is something that we've created for any of the businesses to capture, any interest in coming as a guest speaker, having kids come and do a job shadow, participating in one of our career fairs. There's an opportunity if it's any age, or is yours more applicable to just high school? So it's just something that we're gathering that to kind of start to build a database for our students and to provide these opportunities and partner with all of you. Any questions? I feel like that was really quick. And I talked really fast.
So what happens if number one, I just love the direction. Devil's in the details, right? So we all aspire to that. So that. What happens if they get along and they can't figure out what pathway? Is there a default pathway? They end up, I don't know, with Japan or something? I don't know where it goes.
So the 6 seals are all optional. Otherwise it's back to the one diploma without those 42 credits. So if they choose not to work towards one of the seals, we still stand with buckets 2 and buckets 3 that exist, which is still tied back to employability skills as one of our buckets, and post-secondary readiness is the third bucket. So if they do not go for a seal, we still have to have them on a next level program of study.
That picks a career path also.
That picks a career path also. So once again, that's one of those, if they do not work towards a seal, no later than sophomore year, they have to identify a pathway, which that early exposure and awareness in our elementary and middle school is huge for those students. Yeah.
Kind of piggybacking off of the same question, so the students who are earning that basic diploma, or they earned the employment or the enlistment honor seal, will they be positioned with enough high school credits to, if they decide later in life, maybe, it's cost prohibitive at the time to attend post-secondary education, or they just don't have an interest, they're not well suited toward it. The basic diploma plus the pathway that they would need to identify, does that qualify them to later apply to post-secondary education institutions without having to go get additional GED credits or some sort?
Yes, it would. Their initial proposal that first came out would not have, and that's where all of our post-secondary institutions really pushed back as they should have. So this one that just came out last Wednesday would. It might be that the student then is starting at an Ivy Tech or is starting at, a more local campus as far as to then do some more of those general requirements to then if they wanted to transfer to a Purdue West Lafayette or an IU Bloomington or something. But otherwise that base diploma is meeting the requirements, keeping up with the math and the science that they had initially dropped off on our first proposal.
So that's just something sort of to keep an eye on as additional changes occur.
Correct.
Thank you.
Now, if we're partnering with the high school, are we still holding them to the same accountability that we would hire anybody else to, or is it because they're in school and they are required to do this now that we do we give them carte blanche pretty much for their scheduling? I've seen where high schoolers will come in and say, I have to do so many hours, and then I need to, can I get a letter saying I no longer work here? And the other, are we signing up to get a whole semester? Is pretty much my question.
And that's a good question. I think a lot of that's would come in as far as doing those work-based learning training plans and those site agreements. Obviously, if something happens and someone's no longer employed, once we identify any of our work-based learning coordinators, any of those, they would be in constant communication with the businesses if there were concerns to have some of those meetings regarding holding the student to the same standards of any other employee. I think really would just depend, when we're looking at, I want to go to this one. When you're looking at more of like that career exploration internship, that one's saying where they maybe have taken a class or two, but they may not have that high level of training as far as depending on the tasks you might be asking of them, versus a student who's done the work-based learning capstone, they have taken that advanced coursework to maybe be asked to do other things. So I think it would depend on the position that you have them employed in, and some of these can be paid or unpaid. A lot of the internships at that internship career exploration can be unpaid. And the hours then, it's right now, if it doesn't change, it's 75 hours of work equals 1 high school credit.
Also, to go back on that, some of the families in this area, they are receiving government benefits. Is there a way to where them working isn't going to kick mom off of healthcare? I have that a lot. A lot of our kids go back to work. I'm sorry, none of the commercial. So we've had a lot of our students go back to college, and I've had to write letters saying this student is not going to work until December for their break because the mom has got picked up with healthcare. Maybe $2 too much that month. So if there's some accountability with the state too, where they realize, okay, these houses, anybody that's from 15 to 18, we're just not going to put their income into the household income.
That's a very good question. That'll be something that we can definitely follow up on as far as when they open up the feedback cycle on this for these proposed changes and how that may impact government assistance or other things that may exist.
Yeah. Right there.
I have a question and a comment. First the comment. I'm with Leadership Support County. I both of you when we came to your school. We had an opening here at Leadership for a part-time coordinator, and the applicants that I was receiving were highly educated young people that were very underemployed. I'm excited about this because I think over time this will assist that, but just a comment on kind of what I'm seeing in the application pool. The second is a question. When some of this was first released, I saw some higher education entities maybe speaking out. Has the plan evolved to address that, or can you speak to that? I was alarmed to see some response from secondary education not in favor of this plan.
Yeah, so that the first plan came out March and got a lot of pushback.
Response, right?
Immediate. They opened that feedback cycle for quite a while. The post-secondary institutions did not support it. So this literally just came out Wednesday, and this, what we just presented on, is drastically different than what that first proposal was. That first proposal was still 8 English credits, but it was 4 math, 4 science. I mean, it had really reduced those core classes, and everything was just work-based learning, versus now they've added these SEALs. So they did in Katie Jenner's State of the Board of Education meeting last week, they did receive letters of support from Purdue University. So they had, and they pulled up all of the letters that they received. Yeah, so they got a lot of letters of support for this proposal now.
Good to hear.
Do you anticipate issues around Department of Labor restrictions on youth employment will be an issue? Also, like many of the practical skills that you may want students to learn so they can go right into an industry job would have limitations around, regarding OSHA. And there are certain policies that employers have around youth employment that could be a problem to actually gain the type of experiential learning that you're trying to achieve. So how, as employers, do we address that? Because we have to be in compliance with employment law. And the other issue I'm wondering about is transportation. Many American people do not drive, they don't have access to vehicles and transportation. So how do you anticipate solving these problems?
Yeah, the one thing I think as far as the age, something I saw a lot of the meetings obviously are out of the Indianapolis area where I think a little bit maybe different resources or the businesses that they're communicating with. So I feel like from, hearing updates from DWD and CWI, so the Department of Workforce Development and the Center for Workforce Innovation, they say they're out and communicating. And I said up here in Northwest Indiana, as far as like even we went around and did a tour with some of our counselors, a lot of the places where you have to be 18, but then when you're sitting in the state meetings, they're saying that they're working with the chambers and they're working with DWD to stress the importance of making some of those adjustments. And I'm like, well, we need to get more of that information across the entire state. So I think there's a lot of work that still needs to be done around that, talking with, manufacturing places here and what their restrictions and guidelines are. Regarding transportation, we know that's definitely going to be a barrier. It's been echoed across even some of our more rural communities that don't even maybe have access to a lot of the businesses. They've created these career scholarship accounts that our kids can apply for to maybe work with stuff. I know it's going to be something that maybe working with the city to see once we really build this out, are there other opportunities or options to build out even our public transportation. So we definitely have some work ahead within those areas.
Here's one more question. So, I'm thinking back to when, I was 15 to 18. If you asked me like what local business I wanted to be at, I would have no idea. So, is there a plan to help the students sort of become better acquainted with their community so they know what is actually available?
Yeah, that's a great question. Something to think of. Working with our education committee group that we have through the chamber and P&W there, Christina Maldonado. We're looking this last year, we did a 6th grade career expo. We had about 50 vendors of our businesses coming in and set up. We are looking at doing one for our 9th and 10th graders this year in the fall, as far as doing a career expo 2.0 for our 9th and 10th graders to really expose them to our businesses and industry that are out there. So continuing to add that, or thinking of something creative that we can come up with to share with the students. Kyle's taking good notes.
Well, then at the high school, we'd offered a college and career fair, and we had to move that based on the number of vendors that showed up. What had started in our library moved to the gym, bigger space, and so would absolutely love to have even more businesses, colleges come in, because I think, again, what are our students doing Monday following graduation? And I know for myself, changing, my degree a couple times, like it does happen to many individuals. And so getting that exposure is really key. So that way they get that exposure early on, they know what may or may not work, and then we have time to build in a plan, an option B, C kind of thing for all of our students. Couple more questions here?
The feedback cycle, is it open to the public?
Yes, it is.
Is there a way to find access to that pretty easily, or they could be pushed out?
Yeah, so Indiana Department, in.gov, they have a little pop-up right there that here's the second draft. If you click on that, pulls up a bunch of resources, and then they do have their form for feedback. So they have been getting a lot of feedback, which I think is good, especially from the first draft to now this draft. So they do have another open cycle for feedback. And then here in the next month to a month and a half, we're going to get even more details. And this might change again. So this is where we're at currently. But then, yes, they are taking feedback, which I do appreciate from the state. Yes.
For the work-based learning, you said if the student already has a part-time paid job, does that have to match their pathway?
No.
To count towards the work-based learning, right? Because there are students who are maybe working because their family relies on their income.
Correct. And the flexibility piece is that the number of hours could then work for, that additional credit. So that's 6 to 12 elective credits. That's where what they're currently doing could help with their post-secondary plan, but then also they can get credit for that. So that way it doesn't disrupt what they're already doing to then add something else onto the plate, so to speak.
I think, Doreen, you have last question of the day?
I have Doreen Monson with First Trust Credit Union, and we're very interested in partnering. Love this topic, our really solutions to grow in this area. Two things that kind of come to my mind, a lot of questions going around my mind. My husband's an educator for over 30 years and a principal at Chesterton High School, and 2 kids that have come up through the Chesterton school systems as well. My mind goes to a couple things. So they just recently are in college or finished college. So from a university standpoint, so this whole topic and changing these diplomas and things, I guess I wonder how will universities accept this? And we talked a little bit about that, but only Indiana universities. So, is this something that's only statewide, or is this going to be looked at a national level? Where what if my child wants to go to Stanford, or what if my child wants to go to a small school down in Florida to play ball? What is this type of education that I'm getting at Michigan City High School? How's that going to be viewed with these universities in terms of being accepted, not being accepted? Are they going to look at this? That's a real good question in my head, how it will all come together. And I don't know if you can speak to that at all.
I can speak to that. So with this current second draft proposal, it is mimicking a lot of what the current diplomas were. So the core 40, that academic honors, they've put back in those, required credits for math, for science. They're trying to build in the flexibility, and then with that work-based learning components. So the new draft is similar to what the academic honors, what is already being required from students for post-secondary institutions. So that was a big change from the first draft. And so I think, be curious to see what this next draft looks like before they have to land on something by the end of the, December 31st. But with this new proposed changes, they do align with, those seals for enrollment for post-secondary institutions. If a student isn't going to go that route immediately and they want to go into the workforce, building in those hours, those credits for work-based learning, so that way they can actually say, hey, this is what I want to do, not show up, work a couple weeks, figure out, this probably isn't for me, and then, businesses are also now scrambling with, that return, so.
I think you're very right there. My daughter had that experience exactly where she did the criminologies work, I don't know what work said kind of thing, but she was able to find out her junior year in high school for a semester. This is not what I wanted, at least when I thought this was the field I was going to go into and study. So that's a very positive thing. Secondly, my mind kind of goes to the kids who are coming into high school. We're talking about this having to make that pathway career choice by sophomore year. And I know we currently do that in high schools to some degree, but with this, changes, are the kids that aren't so academic or are kind of pretty lost and don't have a clue what they want to do in life or what they even want to finish high school, I'm just hoping there's conversation, and maybe you can speak to that a little bit too, or special, more, on the spectrum children, what's going to happen with them when they don't know. They just don't know.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is about being intentional earlier on with our kids, and what are we exposing them to? What are we doing in elementary, late elementary, middle school? So all of my counselors have right now career exploration lessons. So they're going to be into not only doing our social emotional learning, but what are we doing for, what are my interests, what are my abilities? So we've been really intentional about creating lessons for our elementary students. We started that 6th grade career expo, want to do more within the middle school as far as kind of like a find your inspiration event. So it's really about hooking the kids earlier. In that intentional exposure and partnering with you guys for them to get out or see things and thinking about things differently so they can kind of figure that out, and we start to do some goal setting and think about that to make the connections and making high school more meaningful. But then back to the kids, it's also then making awareness of the different diplomas and what their options are. So if I did have a student who says, hey, I want to go to UCLA, I want to go to wherever it may be, really then we're going to advise towards that enrollment honors seal plus. And that's going to be taking those AP, those dual credits, those advanced classes. So just really awareness out within the community, our parents, and making sure that kids really understand and taking hold of their pathway.
Well, thank you very much, Christy and Kyle. There's a lot of information. Let's give them a round of applause for. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more information coming out, and the chamber will do its part to try and get that to you as quickly and as most understandable as possible. So thank you very much for being here today. Thank you to Purdue Northwest for being our sponsor. Thank you to Blue Chip for being very hospitable to us today. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we will see you at the next thing.